Hey folks, Dad here with Elevation Diecast Racing. It is race night. Let's run 32 cars off. In a bracket race, we'll see which driver will emerge victorious and which one of these cars will come out on top. Here is a look at the first 4 races. They've all been back through the speed shop, so we should get some faster times than in qualifying. First up is the Skyline and the Porsche. First up, staged and ready, qualifying number 32 in the bracket, is the Porsche Panorama, driven by the Chase Family Racing, taking on the number 1 qualifier in the Nissan Skyline 2000 GTR Liberty Walk, driven by TNT Thurston. Let's race. Wow. One and done. 2:108. And that kind of gap is just going to be a one and done victory. The Nissan's moving on. Alright, up next, staged and ready, is the classic Mustang versus Camaro. In lane 1, it's the 70 Camaro, driven by Scale Racing Channel, qualifying 17th, taking on the 69 Boss Mustang GT, qualifying number 16, driven by helium gas. Wow, Camaro getting out on them. 213 to a 15. We'll switch them. Mustang needs to beat a 213 and a greater than 5,000 beat to move on. 2122 and a 8,000 beat will do it, and the Mustang's moving on. Next up, staged and ready, qualifying number 9 in lane number 2, is the Overwatch Soldier 76, driven by Cut Rocker Diecast Racing. And in lane number 1, qualifying number 24, is the SVO Mustang, driven by Mountain Pirate. Nice race, 2126 and a 3,000 speed. 2126 and a greater than 3,000 speed needed by Soldier 76 to move on. And he won't get it done. The SVO moving up. Next up, staged and ready, is 2 for Team Cadillac. In lane number 1, we have the number 8 qualifying Cadillac V16, driven by Kit Racing. And in lane number 2, it is the Cadillac El Mirage, qualifying 25th, driven by Dad's Race Team. Wow, V16, he didn't get gapped. We'll switch lanes. 2116 and a greater than 13,000 speed needed if Dad's Race Team wants to move on. And he's not going to do it. The V16 moving to the next round. Coming up next, staged and ready, in lane number 1, is the Space Jam van, qualifying number 4, driven by Aramis Rodriguez. Be taking on something from Team Mustang. It is the Star Spangled Mustang from 1965, qualifying 29th, driven by Bavarian Diecast Racing. Woo, that van got out on him. Not quite a full car length beat. We'll swap them up. 213 and a 17,000 speed though. And the Mustang coming back, but not enough. And Space Jam moves on to the next round. Staged and ready, in lane number 1, is the Blown Camaro, qualifying number 13, driven by Joe Clayton. He'll be taking on a car from Team Porsche. It's the 1980 Porsche Turbo, qualifying at number 20, driven by Blue Line Racing. Camaro, commanding one and done gap. Looked like a whole car length beat. We'll give him one more shot just for good measure. Porsche putting up a fight, but not enough to beat the Camaro, is moving on. Next up, it's a couple from Team Truck, staged and ready, in lane number 1. It is the 1979 Ford, qualifying number 12. It is the Blackhawk F-150, driven by 7th Avenue Diecast Racing. And in lane number 2 for the 97 First Editions F-150, qualifying at number 21, driven by DXP Diecast Racing. Good race. 2134 to a 43. 2134 and a greater than 9,000 speed needed by the first edition's F-150 if he wants to move on. He will not get it done. All right, in the 8th race of the first round, staged and ready in lane number 1, qualifying number 5 in the 2009 Goodyear F-150 driven by Dennis Taylor. He'll be taking on that 1985 Camaro IROC Z driven by In Search of Speed. Wow. We'll give him one more shot and swap him, but a 2115. 2115 and a greater than 28,000 speed. Closer race that time, but the F-150 is moving on. Up next, staged and ready in lane number 1, qualifying in the number 2 spot, is the character car Roadrunner driven by Mick Olson. He'll be taking on the Corvette Grand Sport Roadster, qualifying at number 31, driven by Steel City Mafia Racing. Wow, that is a one and done. Up next, staged and ready in lane number 1, driving the Mercedes 380 SEL, qualifying in the 15th spot, driven by Zelda Diecast Racing. He'll be taking on someone from Team Porsche. It is the 89 Porsche 944 Turbo, qualifying number 18, driven by Griffin Soul Diecast Motorsports. Woo! Looked like a gap to me. We'll run them again. 2124 and a greater than 31,000 speed needed for the Porsche. Porsche kept up this time, but it is the Mercedes moving on. Up next, staged and ready in lane number 1, from the Extreme Speed Series, is the Mazda MX-5 Miata, qualifying at number 10, driven by Slandman Customs. And in lane number 2, qualifying at number 23 in the custom Acura Integra GSR, driven by JC Hayes. Wow, 2135 and a 6,000 speed. We'll switch them. 2135 and a greater than 6,000 speed. If the Acura wants to move on, he won't do it, and the Miata moves up. Next up, it's Team Porsche taking on Team Mustang in lane number 1. The Porsche Carrera, qualifying number 7, driven by Isaiah's race team, taking on the ultra hot Mustang 1967 Shelby GT500, qualifying number 26, driven by Stick Revenge 900. Close race. 2134 to a 48. We'll switch them. 2134 and a greater than 14,000 speed needed by the Mustang if he wants to move on, and he won't be able to do it. The Porsche moving to the next round. Up next, staged and ready in lane number 1, is a 1997 First Editions 97 Corvette, driven by MD's Garage, qualifying at number 3, taking on a character car from 2004 First Edition's Batmobile, qualifying number 30, driven by Milestone Diecast. Wow. 2112. Be sure this is academic, but we'll see it one more time. Greater than 43,000 speed needed, and the Corvette taking care of business, moving to the next round. Staged and ready, it's Team JDM versus Team Corvette in lane number 1 from the Realistic Series, qualifying in number 14 in the Mitsubishi Eclipse Concept, driven by Chaz D. In lane number 2 from the Decade Series, it's the C6 Corvette, qualifying at number 19, driven by Owen Sullivan. Wow. 2142 and a 2,000 speed. And if the C6 can pull off a win here, it'll be the first car seated lower to take a win. He'll made a 2142 and a greater than 2,000 speed. Look at that Corvette. 2131 and a 3,000 speed, and he is moving on to the next round. Next up, staged and ready in lane number 1. From Team Camaro, it's the 1995 Camaro convertible, qualifying number 11, driven by Eamon's Crazy Channel. And in lane number 2, qualifying number 22, from Team Luxury Sport, is the Mercedes C-Class, driven by NZ Racing. Good race, but the Camaro 2119. Academic from here, but the Mercedes did put up a better fight. But it is the Camaro moving on to the next round. And in the last race of the first round, staged and ready in lane number 1, is the 1979 Miller F-150, driven by Northern Roads Racing, and he qualified number 6. In lane number 2 for Team Corvette, it's the 63 Corvette, qualifying at number 27, driven by Rez Wheels. Wow, F-150 2117. We'll switch them. 2117 and a 32,000 speed. Not happening. And the F-150 moving to the next round. And here is a look at the quarterfinals round. Those that have made it. And we're going to do a little bit of track maintenance and cleaning before round number 2. We hope you are enjoying the race. Mile High Raceway, the 8-team bracket race. We'll be right back with the conclusion. All right, welcome back to round number 2. Let's see who is going to emerge victorious. Starting off in lane 1, it's the Boss Mustang taking on the Nissan Skyline. Close race. Skyline with a 209.4 and a 20,000 speed. 209.4 and a greater than 20,000 speed needed by the Mustang. He will not do it. 209.6 moves the Skyline up to the third round. Staged and ready, it's the Cadillac V16 taking on the Mustang SVO. Close race. 2,117 and a 1,000 speed. Down by the Cadillac. Greater than 1,000 speed in a 2,117 needed by the Mustang if he wants to move on, and he will not. Cadillac V16 moving on to the next round. Next up is the blown Camaro taking on the Space Jam van. Wow, good race. 2,130 and a 1,000 speed. 2,130 and a greater than 1,000 speed needed if the character car van wants to move on. And the blown Camaro in the inside lane taking it with a 2,122. He's moving on. And that is a big upset. Camaro qualified at 13th and that van came in at number 4 and the van is out. What a race. Next up, staged and ready, it's the Blackhawk F-150 taking on the 2009 Goodyear F-150. Should be a good race. Look at him go. 2,119 and a 1,000 speed. 2,119 and a greater than 1,000 speed needed by the Blackhawk, and he's not going to do it. The Goodyear F-150 moving on. Moving to the other side of the bracket, we have the Mercedes 380 SEL taking on the character car Roadrunner. Good race. Closer than I thought it was going to be. A 14,000 speed. We'll switch lanes. 210 and a greater than 14,000 speed needed if their Mercedes is moving on. And the Roadrunner says, no. 2098 moves into the next round. Next up, it's the number 10 and number 7 qualifier going at it. It's the Miata taking on the Porsche. This ought to be a good race. Wow, look at the Miata taking out the Porsche. 2122 and a 3,000 speed. Outstanding performance by the Miata. The Porsche will need a 2122 and a greater than 3,000 speed to take them out. 2125 won't do it. And the Miata just took out the Porsche. He's moving on. And that is an upset. All right, up next, it is the C6 with the first upset of the night in the first round, overcoming a higher ranked qualifier, But he's got to take on the number 3 qualifying 97 Corvette. Let's see how they do. Wow. 2110 to a 30, 20,000 speed. 97 Corvette looking to be too much for the C6. Has to overcome a 20,000 speed. He will not do it. The 97 is moving to the next round. All right, staged and ready. It's the number 11th ranked or qualifying Camaro taking on the number 6 Miller F-150. This should be a good one. Good race. And the Camaro with the upset win. Can he hold him off? Truck needs a 2112 and a greater than 3,000 speed to move on. 211 and a 1,000 speed will not get it done. And that is going to be another upset. The Camaro moving on. All right, here we go with round 3. It's the Nissan Skyline taking on that V16 Cadillac. Number 8 versus number 1. Good race, but the Skyline with a 7,000 speed, 2098 and a greater than 7,000 speed if the Cadillac wants to move on. And the Skyline just gapped him. 2096 puts him into the next round. Staged and ready, it's the upset Bone Camaro qualifying 13th, taking on the 2009 F-150, who qualified at number 5. F-150, 2114, and a greater than 18,000 speed if the Camaro wants to compete. He just can't get it done. F-150 moving to the semifinals. Staged and ready is another upset vehicle, the Mazda Miata. He's got to take on the Roadrunner. Miata putting up a fight though. 2101 and a 12,000 speed. We'll switch lanes. Really surprised with how that Miata is running. But the Roadrunner, just too much. That's going to move him to the semifinal round. And last up, with another squeaky upset. Got to take on that Corvette. Let's see how he does. Camaro, 2109 and a 10,000 speed. Camaro needs to pull off a hero run for sure with a greater than 10,000 speed, and he will not do it. And the Camaro is eliminated. Corvette is moving on. And there it is, your semifinal matchup. It'll be the Nissan Skyline taking on the 2009 F-150. The winner of that will take on the Corvette or the Roadrunner. Let's get them staged and ready. Nissan Skyline in lane 2. 2009 Goodyear F-150 in lane number 1. Let's see who takes it. Good race. Skyline with a 2096 and a 14,000 speed. Truck needs a greater than 14,000 speed. Will not do it. The Skyline just seems to be getting faster. He's moving on to the final. It's the 97 Corvette taking on the Roadrunner. Let's see who's going to the final. Wow, good race. 2099 to an 03. That's a 4,000 speed. Good race. Corvette needs a 2099 and greater than 4,000 speed if he wants to go to the finals. Not gonna happen. The Roadrunner clicks off another sub 210 time. And there's a look at the final race. It'll be the Roadrunner taking on the Nissan Skyline. The first one to win 3 is going to be crowned the winner. But first, let's see who's taking 3rd spot on the podium. Is it going to be the Corvette, or can the truck pull off the upset? Truck qualifying 5th has made it to the final 4. And the Corvette, 2105 and a 15,000 speed. Truck needs a greater than 15,000 speed and a 2105. Close race, but it is the Corvette. And for the final, first car to win 3 is going to be the winner. It's the Roadrunner and this Nissan Skyline. Let's see who takes it. What a race. The Roadrunner with a 2095 and a 8,000 speed. Can the Skyline come back? He does. Ooh, he doesn't. The Roadrunner gets a 10,000th win for his second. Roadrunner needs one more win to seal it up. Can he sweep him, or does the Skyline put up a fight? Skyline qualified number 1 and got beat by the Bird. What a race. And there is your overall winner. It is the number 2 qualifying Roadrunner, driven by Mick Olson, coming in number 2 in that beautiful Nissan Skyline, who qualified number 1, driven by TNT Thurston, and driving the 97 Corvette, placing 3rd overall, who qualified 3rd, driven by MD's Garage. Congratulations to the winners and the drivers of this bracket race. Here is a shot of each bracket. Pause if you want to see it. The asterisks are the upsets in the race. We certainly appreciate you joining us for this bracket race. Definitely some upsets. Qualifying just goes to show you that just because you qualify number 1 doesn't always mean you're going to take the cake. This time around, it was the number 2 qualifier that took off with the overall win, and the number 3 qualifier took 3rd spot on the podium. That's all we have for you tonight. Thank you for joining us. We will certainly look forward to the next edition of the Lunchtime Laps. We'll take a look at some castings. We've got cars coming back from Blue Line. We'll go over some of those times and some pretty cool stuff for the next Lunchtime Laps planned. Well, we'll take a little in-depth look at the case rankings and how things came to be with those rankings. Well, from all of us here at Elevation Diecast Racing, if your car isn't fast, at least it'll look good on the shelf. Thank you, and have a good night.